Let's go live to the Shadow Cabinet Secretary, Andrew Wallace, who joins us now. Andrew, thanks for your time. Lots to talk about. I want to start with your reaction. I know that you're the co-chair of the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security. What do you make of the big announcement today, Australia doing that deal with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries for the next generation of frigates?
Well, Kieran, the Coalition welcomes this announcement. This is an announcement that will see Japan providing 10 general-purpose frigates to Australia. Japan is one of our closest allies, certainly in the Indo-Pacific. Japan will be able to provide the first 3 frigates built in Japan. The remaining 7 will be built in Western Australia. We think this is a good thing. We'll see those frigates being delivered, the first 3 by 2029, operational by 2030, and that's about 5 years faster than what we originally anticipated. So that is a good thing because time is not on our side, Kieran. We need to ensure that we have the strongest possible deterrence as possible, and this will help us do that. This is part of the government's $55 billion upgrade to the surface combatant fleet of the Royal Australian Navy. We just hope that we're learning our lessons from the Hunter-class frigates that have seen just one frigate cost $9 billion. So these new general-purpose frigates built by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries will be very handy, very strong weapons that we will use both from an undersea capacity and also an air warfare destroyer capacity.
The former Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, had had done the deal for Japanese to provide the submarines. That never did happen. Obviously, It was a difficult moment in their bilateral relationship. Do you think that this helps heal some of those wounds, given, as you touched on, we're talking about a very important strategic ally in our region in Japan?
Well, Japan is a very important strategic ally, and Japan, I've had a number of discussions with the former Japanese ambassador, and whilst there was a great disappointment that we didn't proceed with the Japanese submarines, Japan has remained resolute as a very strong ally from an Australian defence perspective. We partner with Japan, and the Royal Australian, or the Australian Defence Force, I should say, undertakes military exercises somewhere around the world with Japan, on average around one every 9 days. So they are a very close ally, and we hope that this relationship brought about by the frigate deal will bring us even closer together.
I want to ask you about your thoughts on the protests at the weekend, the fallout of that. Chris Minns, the Premier, had hoped that it wasn't going to go ahead. Obviously, the court intervened. It did. And it was a massive turnout. What did you make of it? What does it say about where the Australian mood is right now when it comes to that conflict that continues?
Well, clearly there are many Australians who are very perplexed by the continuing conflict in the Middle East. No Australian wants to see the war go a second longer than it has to. The Coalition has been resolute. We support Israel's right to defend itself. We want to see an end to the war. We want to see the hostages returned. We want to see aid flowing very freely into Gaza. But I have to say, Kieran, in relation to the protests, I was very perplexed. I think this decision was a poor decision, a bad decision, to allow the protests to continue. I supported Chris Minns' objection to it. I supported the New South Wales Police Service in their objection to it. I think it sends a very bad signal, and I think that any protest movement will see this as a precedent that they can block up one of the busiest arterial roads in Sydney and use the most iconic Australian landmark as a means to an end for whatever the protest movement's beliefs are. I don't think it's a good move, and I think it was a regrettable decision.
The Prime Minister spoke to the head of the Palestinian Authority last night. He's going to meet with him at the UN in September. Do you welcome those talks? Is dialogue a good thing, as the Prime Minister is also hoping to get a phone call with Prime Minister Netanyahu to express his views on the ongoing Middle East conflict?
Yeah, Kieran, look, dialogue is always a good thing. My time at the UN taught me that. We're much better off to be talking with all parties that are concerned, particularly in relation to a conflict, rather than jawboning. So, rather than any type of conflict, anyway. So, I think it's a good thing. I encourage the Prime Minister to keep those discussions flowing, not just with the Palestinians, but also with Israel. Israel is our strongest ally in the Middle East. It's the only democracy in the Middle East. And we need to ensure that the Australian government is talking freely with the Israeli government, because, it's important that we see an end to this war as soon as humanly possible.
There were 600 retired security officials, in fact, the former head of Mossad, the former Prime Minister of Israel, among many, many others, hundreds of others, that have written a letter to President Trump urging him to pressure Prime Minister Netanyahu to end the war, see the hostages returned and stop the suffering. They say in this letter, it is our professional judgment that Hamas no longer poses a strategic threat to Israel. This is including Moshe Yalon, former Defence Minister, Ehud Barak, former head of Mossad, as I say, among hundreds of others. There is an internal push within Israel as well for this to be concluded once and for all, Andrew.
Look, I don't necessarily agree with that position. I think as long as there is Hamas that are exercising military control over Gaza, that they represent a clear and present danger to Israel. Since the 7th of October 2023, more than 20,000 rockets have been launched from Gaza into Israel. Israel today is still under bombardment from rockets launched from Gaza. So I don't accept that Hamas no longer represents a military threat. Hamas they need to surrender, they need to return the hostages, and only then should a two-state solution be worked through through a peace process, a negotiated peace process.
Andrew Wallace, thank you for joining us, the Shadow Cabinet Secretary. Thank you.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.